Good morning, students. Welcome back to the 7th Standard Social Science class. Let's move on to the lesson History Unit 2 Emergence of New Kingdoms in North India. Learning objectives. Emergence of new kingdoms in North India are origin of the Rajputs, Pratikaras and Chauhans, Palas, Dharmabala and Mahibala. Contribution of Rajputs to art and architecture. Contribution of Palas to cultures. Advent of Islam, Muhammad of Ghazni and Muhammad of Ghor. First we say about origin of the Rajput. The word Rajput means the son of the king. After the death of Harsha in 647 AD, various Rajput clans established kingdoms. Clans means a group of people all descended from a common ancestor. The three principal houses are the Suryavanshi, the race of sun, the Chandravanshi, the race of the moon, and the Agnikula, the race of fire god. Some of them, four Rajputs, claimed a special status are the Pradiharas, the Chauhans, the Chalukyas, known as Solanhis, and the Paramaras of Pavas. All the four clans were of the Agnikula origin. First, say about Pradiharas. The Pradiharas are Gurjara Pradiharas, one of the four prominent clans of the Rajputs, ruled from Gurjaratra in Jodhpur. In the 6th century AD, Harichandra laid a foundation of Gurjara dynasty. Nagapata I was the first and prominent. He was succeeded by Vastarasa, who desired to dominate the whole of North India. His attempt to control over Kannauj brought him into conflict with the Pala ruler Dharmabala. Vastarasa's successors Nagapata II and Rambhadra did not anything impressively. Mihira or Bhoja, son of Rambhadra, within a few years of his ascension, succeeded in combining the power of Pratiharas. As a strong ruler, Bhoja was able to maintain peace in his kingdom. They ruled over a large part of Rajasthan and Malwa. They also held Kannauj for some time. The Rajputs fought each other endlessly in the 11th and 12th centuries. Taking advantage of these internecine quarrels, many local kings succeeded in making themselves independent. Next, we see about Palas. Dharmapala 717 to 810 AD. Gopala was founded the Pala dynasty. He did not come to royal family. He was selected by the people for his superior capabilities. During his regime from 750 to 770, Gopala laid the foundation for the future greatness of this dynasty in Bengal. Dharmabala, his son, made the Pala kingdom a powerful force in northern Indian politics. He led a successful campaign against Kannauj. He was a great patron of Buddhism. He founded Vikramasila Monastery, which became a great center of Buddhist learning. Dharmabala was succeeded by his son Devabala, who extended Bala control eastwards into Kamarupa in Assam. Devapala was also great patron of Buddhism and gifted 5 villages to Buddhists. He also constructed many temples along with monasteries in Mahatha. Next we see Mahipala I. Mahipala first was the most powerful ruler of the Pala dynasty. He is called the founder of the second Pala dynasty. The decline of Pratiharas gave the Palas an opportunity to take a leading role in North Indian affairs, but he could not extend in domain beyond Banaras because of impressive campaigns of the Chola king from the south. Rajendra Chola, Mahipala restored the old glory of the palace. He constructed and repaired a large number of religious buildings at Panaras, Saranath, and Nalanda. The Pala dynasty declined soon after the death of Mahipala. Next we see the Chauhans. The Chauhans ruled between 956 to 1192 AD over the eastern parts of present-day Rajasthan, establishing their capital at Sahambari. This Rajput dynasty was founded by Simha Raji, who was popularly known as the founder of the city of Ajmer. The Chauhans were the federates of the Pratiharas and stood by them to check the Arab invasion. The last of Chauhan kings, Prithviraj Chauhan, was considered the greatest of all Chauhan rulers. He defeated Muhammad Ghori in the first Battle of Tarai, fought in 1191 AD. However, he was defeated and killed in the Second Battle of Tarai in 1192 AD. Next we see contribution of Rajput to art and architecture. Rajput courts were centers of culture where literature, music, dance, paintings, fine arts and sculpture flourished. A specific style of Rajput painting, often focusing on religious themes, emerged at Rajput courts. Their style of paintings is called Rajasthani. The Rajasthani style of painting can be seen at Jodhpur, Mewar, Jaisalmer, all in Rajasthan. Next we see architecture. The Rajput were great builders. Some of the important examples of the Rajput buildings are the strong fortress of Chittar Ramthampur and Kumbhalhar. It is located in Rajasthan. Mantu, Gwalior, Chanteri and Asigarh are located in Madhya Pradesh. Domestic architectures are the examples of Rajputs. Palace of Mansingh at Gwalior, the building at Ampere and Lake Palace at Udaipur. Many of the Rajput cities and palaces stand among the hills in forts or by the side of beautiful artificial lakes. The castle of Jodhpur in Rajasthan is perched upon a lofty rock overlooking the town. The example of temples of the Rajputs rulers built have won the admiration of art and critics. The temples in Khajuraho, the Sun Temple in Konark, it's shown in our new 10 rupees note. The Dilwara Jain Temple, constructed in Mount Abu, and Gandhariya Temple at Madhya Pradesh are illustrious examples of their architectures. The Khajuraho in Pandalgan has 30 temples. The shikaras of the Khajuraho temples are most elegant. The interior parts of the temples are adorned with very fine sculptures. These temples are dedicated to Jain Triratnas and Hindu deities like Shiva and Vishnu. There are 16 Hindu and Jain temples at Ocean, which is 32 miles away from Jodhpur. The Jain temple at Mount Abu has a white marble hall and a central dome of 11 concentric rings and richly curved valued ceiling and pillars. Next we see contribution of Palas to architecture. The Palas were genius patrons of Buddhist temples and the famous universities of Nalanda and Vikramasila. It was through their missionaries that Buddhism was established in Tibet. The celebrated Buddhist monk Acharya, who reformed Tibetan Buddhism, was the president of the Vikramasila monastery. The Palas also maintained cordial relations with the Hindu Buddhist state of the Sumatra and Java. Under Pala patronage, a distinctive school of art arose called Pala or Eastern Indian art. Pala artistic style flourished in present-day states of Bihar and West Bengal and also in present-day Bangladesh. It was chiefly represented by bronze sculptures and palm leaf paintings celebrating the Buddha and other divinities. The Pala bronze sculptures from this area played an important part in the spread of Indian culture in Southeast Asia. Advent of Islam. Islam as a religious faith originated in Mecca in Arabia. The founder of Islam was Prophet Muhammad. The followers of Islam are called Muslims. An Islamic state, especially the one ruled by the single religious and political leader, was known as Caliphate. Caliph means a representative of the Prophet Muhammad. Two early caliphates were Umayyads and the Abbasids. Both the Umayyads and Abbasids expanded their rule separately by their conquest and by praising the principles of Islam. Next we see Muhammad of Ghazni 997 to 1030 AD. Muhammad is said to have conducted 17 raids into India. At that time, North India was divided into a number of small kingdoms. One of them was Shahi Kingdom, which extended from Punjab to Kabul. The other important kingdoms were Kannauj, Gujarat, Kashmir, Nepal, Malwa, and Bandhalkhand. The initial raids were against the Shahi Kingdom, in which its king Jayapala was defeated in 1001 AD. After his defeat, Jayapala immolated himself because he thought that his defeat was a disgrace. His successors, Anantapala, fought against Muhammad but was defeated in the Battle of Vaihin near Peshawar in 1008. As a result of victory at Vaihin, Muhammad extended his rule over Punjab. The subsequent raids of Muhammad into India were aimed at plundering the rich temples and cities of North India. In 1011, he raided Nagarkot in Punjab Hills and Taneshwar near Delhi. In 1018, Muhammad plundered the holy city of Mathura. He also attacked Kannauj. The ruler of Kannauj, Rajyapala, abandoned Kannauj and later died. Muhammad returned with enormous riches. His next important raid took place in Gujarat. In 1024, Muhammad marched from Multan across Rajputana and defeated the Solanki king Bhima Deva first and plundered Anihilwad. Muhammad is said to have shaken the famous temple of Somnath, breaking the idol. Then he returned through the same desert. That was his last campaign in India. Muhammad died in 1030 AD. The Ghaznavid Empire roughly included Persia, Transoxiana, Afghanistan, and Punjab. Next we see Muhammad of Ghor 1149 to 1206 AD. Muhammad of Ghor or Muhammad of Ghor started as well as vassal of Ghazni but became independent after the death of Muhammad. Taking advantage of the decline of the Ghaznavid Empire, Muhammad Ghori brought Ghazni under his control. Having made his position strong and secure at Ghazni, Muhammad turned his attention to India. Unlike Muhammad of Ghazni, he wanted to extend his empire by conquering India. In 1175 AD, Muhammad captured Multan and occupied whole of it in his subsequent expeditions. In 1186, he attacked Punjab and captured it. Next we see the Battle of Tarain, 1191 to 1192 AD. Realizing the grave situation in which they were caught, the Hindu princes of North India formed a confederacy under the command of Prithviraj Chauhan. Prithviraj rose to the occasion and defeated Muhammad in the Battle of Tarain near Delhi in 1191 AD. This was called the First Battle of Tarain. To avenge this defeat, Muhammad made serious preparation and gathered a huge army. He arrived with his large force in Lahore via Peshawar and Multan. He sent a message to Prithviraj asking him to acknowledge his supremacy and became a Muslim. But Prithviraj rejected the proposal and prepared his army to resist the invader. Many Hindu kings and chieftains also joined him. In the ensuing Second Battle of Tarain in 1192 AD, Muhammad thoroughly routed the army of Prithviraj, who was captured and killed. The Second Battle of Tarain was a major disaster for the Rajputs. Their political prestige suffered a serious setback. The whole Chauhan kingdom now lay at the feet of the invader. The first Muslim kingdom was thus firmly established in India at Ajmer, and a new era in the history of India began. After his victory over Prithviraj at Tarain, Muhammad returned to Ghazni to deal with the threat from the Turks and the Mongols. After the death of Muhammad in 1206, his most capable general Qutbuddin Aibak, who had been left behind in India, took control of Muhammad's territories in India and declared himself as the first Sultan of Delhi. Summary. After Harsha, new religion powers emerged. Prominent ruling dynasties among them were Pratiharas, Palas, Chauhans and Paramaras. Pratiharas and Palas were battling to control the northern plains. Their focus was on capturing the city of Kannauj. The continued conflict over the position of Kannauj promoted the local kings to declare themselves independent. The Rajputs and Palas made impressive contribution to the evolving Indian culture. The attempts of Arabs to expand were resisted by various rulers. Military raids of Muhammad Ghazni in the 11th century, followed by expedition of Muhammad of Ghor, paved the way for the establishment of Islamic rule